Heads bobbing. All right, perfect. I just prefer this view if that's okay. That way I kind of see what's coming up here on the other slides. So I put together a little agenda. Going to do an introduction. Going to tell you a little bit about Phoenix Contact products. We're going to go over this catalog. And this is the laminated catalog. I don't know if you guys can see my screen as well. I think Paul had mentioned you guys may have received some of these or were somewhat familiar with these. Okay, awesome. So these can be bought in the extranet, in the superstore that's accessed through the extranet. We're going to kind of go over that today. Show you some core products to recommend. And the ones I'm going to focus on are products that, with working with Paul Thomas down here, we found to be some of the ones that are of main interest to some of the customers down here, right? So kind of think of the high runners of this presentation. I'll show you some customer pictures. I'm a pretty visual guy. Hopefully you guys are as well. So you get to see, how they're using some of these products or inside the panels. Whoops, don't want to go too far. We'll have a little quick review at the end, reasons to use the products that we showed. And then I'll give you guys some links for sharing, just so you guys can learn more about them if you like, or to share with the customers, and then, of course, questions. So if you guys want to stop me at any time, feel free. I talk really fast, as Paul knows. I'm highly caffeinated. I've got more caffeine in front of me, so and I don't come up for air often, so raise a hand, stop me, just let me know, and I'll pause, and we can discuss something at that point. So. All right, so a little bit about me. I've been on board with Phoenix Contact about 5 days, and someone thought this was I'm just kidding. I've been on board for about 5 years, but it's kind of a joke within my territory that I typically run around with my hair on fire. So this is kind of me, with my hair on fire. This is my territory right here. Again, my name's Chris Cibella. Paul, you and I probably need to talk after this because my territory just got changed. But I still wanted to show this this view here because this is typically how you guys will be set up north with our people. There'll be a bunch of different people in a geographic territory that are part of a region. So mine is the Mid-Atlantic region that consists of Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And so there'll be somebody like me that has a good chunk of territory. And then also in that territory, you'll have specialists, product specialists. And so the footprint should be similar up north. I don't have any of those product specialists on today because they wouldn't be your contacts, but just know that they exist. And I can help putting together, some of those contacts for you if you like down the road. And then also a little bit about me. This is my daughter. We actually have a 5K run tonight. But I started running when I was like 8 years old, got her running when she was 5 years old. She's 11 now. And so it's just one of our hobbies, and one of the ways trying to bond with my daughter as she continues to get older and grow up here. So, all right. So a little bit about Phoenix Contact products. I'm not going to do a whole lot of reading, but there is 2 slides where I'm going to read. So this is one of them, just because I have some good bullet points on here. But typically, if you're not familiar with Phoenix, we make innovative engineered products. So we design them and engineer them for a purpose, and we engineer them to be great. We stand behind them, which you'll see here. So we do not engineer our products to be cost down versions of somebody else's. So in fact, we're the ones that are typically being copied. And an example of that would be terminal blocks. So our company, as of this year, we're 100 years old. We invented the terminal blocks 100 years ago. And so everybody else, think of a DIN rail terminal block, is essentially a copycat of Phoenix Contact, right? So pretty cool history there. Also PLC relays. We make these very thin relays, and they're about 6.2 millimeters wide. We came out with those 25 years ago. And we were the first ones, and today nearly every relay manufacturer has a copycat version of ours. They look very similar, just typically a different color. So we make space-saving products. That's one of the things we're proud about. Trying to save space inside a cabinet. So whether your original design, allowing you to buy a smaller enclosure to fit in a tighter space, or retrofitting the cabinet, hopefully you don't have to, the customer's not going to want to go back and rip out a cabinet, put another one in. Hopefully our products that we're offering are slimmer so you can get more in that existing cabinet, right? Add on. We like to try to speed up production times. So we'll show you some of those technologies because that is the labor savings. Component costs, some of our products are priced great right out of the gate. Other ones, to be honest with you, we're a little bit proud because we think that we have the best ones on the market, but we can get very competitive, as Paul knows, with quotes or spas, whatever you want to call them. In regard to the quality, we stand behind our products. We have a limited lifetime warranty it's optional, we'll briefly discuss. And as Paul knows, we're very liberal with samples. So you've got a customer not familiar with Phoenix, they're interested in some of our products. If it's something more expensive, like a $2,000 industrial computer, we'll try to get you a demo. If it's something less expensive, roughly 500 and under, we will try to get you some samples so that the customer can have them and test them. And I'll show you pictures of some test boards that we've done that at some other customers. And then kind of like I mentioned, there's a lot of local specialists in the area. Again, I'm an industrial sales engineer. So my job is basically everything Phoenix Contact, but I have some product specialists. We call them BDAEs, or business development application engineers, that will hone in on a finite set of products to be a specialist for just those products. All right. Any questions so far? Nope. Okie dokie. All right, so I'm going to go into this catalog, and as I kind of held up earlier, the catalog is formatted vertically. I tried to put it on a PowerPoint presentation, which is horizontally or landscape mode, so everything looks a little bit skewed. So bear with me. I also have a PDF I believe I attached to the meeting or sent out that it is the same exact catalog there. But essentially, this is a laminated catalog if you guys aren't familiar with it. And we call it our Cabinet Confidence Catalog. And what this is a catalog, very pictorial, very visual, showing you a big Hoffman cabinet and most of the components inside that cabinet, letting you know that that could be Phoenix Contact. So really in here, minus the wire in the back panel that everything's mounted on, is Phoenix Contact. Everything from the wire duct, DIN rail, and all these components that we'll go into. There's even a little cabinet light up at the very top here. That's not in this presentation, but we do those types of products as well. And then these are some of the main pillars that we'll briefly discuss. So power reliability, connectivity, signal switching, safety, networking, automation and control, and shop floor productivity. Inside table of contents, it's a very short catalog, so you really don't know that. Once you go through the catalog a couple times, you'll kind of know where things are at when you're trying to find them quickly. So something I want to point out, in the top of those pages, each one, it should say limited lifetime warranty up there. And so the way this works, before I kind of go into the layout and some of the products, is we're unique. I think we're still the only company out there that will stand behind their products, give a lifetime warranty if they use one of our surge suppressors, which I'll show you on a different page. But if the customer is willing to buy one of our surge suppressors, and this would be your mainline surge, so coming into the panel with your 120 volts or 480, 208, as long as it first enters into this surge suppressor and then goes out, the components downstream, again in this cabinet, the majority of them are eligible for the lifetime warranty. So first step is the customer needs to go on, and I'll give you guys a website, and register for the lifetime warranty on our website. It takes about 30 seconds to register, and that company is then covered. It could be the purchasing person, engineer, it could be anybody at that company. And then basically it's a gentleman's agreement that the customer is stating, if I do any warranty claims, that I am doing a claim on a circuit that had your surge and your power supply on it. So the surge suppressor, think of it kind of like a fuse. It's meant to sacrifice itself. This is actually warranted for life. So if it does its job and takes up all those surgians or surges, it will sacrifice itself. We'll warranty it, and then the items downstream. So we'll get into a little bit some of the different surge products that we have and some of the pages coming up too. So, all right, so this page here is about power supplies. Just the way all these pages read is up top, kind of color coded, some quick questions. And this catalog is again kind of like our 80-20 rule, right? So by all means, this is not comprehensive of our full portfolio. This is the high runners that we recommend. So up top here, there's some questions. First one, do you need single phase or 3-phase power supply? You go down here to this tan section here, look single phase, 3-phase. Then you go to your output voltage, looking for 5 volts, 24 is going to be probably the most common for most of the applications. And then you just start drilling down, right? So again, these aren't all of the output currents available from Phoenix Contact. These are just some of the high runners, 5 amp, 10 amp, 20 amp, etc. And then you just drill over and then eventually get to this order number or part number. And you can search this on the website, come up with CAD files, data sheets. If you need UL documentation, it'll give you file numbers, all that stuff on there. All right, and then down here at the bottom, in regards to the surge I was mentioning, here's a couple of the high runner surge part numbers, just like that PLT that I was holding up there, 120 volt version. All right. So these power supplies here, kind of quickly go through them. We have 5 different series. These are 3 of the high runners. And essentially we have Good, the Uno series, Better, the Trio series, and Best, which is the Quint series. And essentially all of these products share the same really robust, hardy internal components. What's different is the feature sets amongst them. So generalities, just real quick. Uno power supply, think of 120 in, you get 24 out, 12 out, 5 out. That's pretty much it. Some models have a potentiometer on the front to tweak your output voltage. If you have a sensitive device that needs to be at 24.8 volts for whatever reason, that's pretty much it. The Trio series will add a 1314 contact on here, a monitoring contact, so that when the power supply, say it has a heavy load on there and the output starts to dip below 90% of its rated output, you'll get a contact for monitoring, letting you know, hey, something's going on with that power supply. Also, what's really nice is this power supply has something called Power Boost. And what that means is, for an application example, if we had a 10 amp power supply, this particular power supply here, the Trio, can output 150% of rated output power for up to 5 seconds. So, for you guys with inductive loads such as motors, fans, solenoid valves, you get that high inrush current. You could technically specify a smaller power supply, but get that extra boost out of it. So again, it's 150% of rated output power. So in this example, a 10 amp power supply could output about 15 amps for about 5 seconds. And then you move up to the Quint. The Quint has those same feature sets, but it will add 200% of rated output power. So instead of 150, it can also live its life at 125% of rated output power. So it has some diagnostics of some LEDs on the front, so you can kind of see where it's living its life. But essentially that 10 amp power supply is a 12.5 amp power supply with a 10 amp sticker on it, right? Kind of think of it that way. It also has some analog and digital inputs that are user programmable on the front. So if you wanted to know how long the power supply has been running, like hours of use, if you want to do monitoring of current, voltage, etc., you can access that information. If you got a customer that wants data, we can give you data with that Quint power supply. And also the Uno is 120 in only. The Trio and the Quint move up to 3-phase as well. And again, this is just a snapshot of these power supplies that we have. We have a lot more to offer. Just like the other pages I'm going to show you, they are not everything in the portfolio, just high runner part numbers. All right, so later on I'm going to show you some pictures of some UPS and battery backups that we have, and that's essentially what we have here. So you guys don't need to memorize the charts or anything, just know that we have battery backups. So think of your building automation controller, a PLC or a supervisor computer running in the background. Typically when you lose your mains power, you want to have some type of backup on them. If you or the customer can, provide how much amperage we need, say 5 amps, and for how long they would like it backed up, we can do a recommendation on a battery. And so we can do that for AC power and also for DC power. But the way these typically work is you have your power supply, you have your UPS, and then you have your battery module. The UPS is essentially the brains of this. It knows if your main power supply is working, and if so, it will take that power, route it in and out. If main power is lost, it will pull power from the power supply or from the battery, run it through the UPS, and then out to the downstream load. And when main power comes back on, it switches back over to mains and then recharges that battery. So pretty simple.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Just one thing I want to make a comment about UPS.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've kind of figured out, narrowed down 1 or 2 part numbers that that everybody in our industry is using for their Jaces and whatnot. So we'll just keep that in mind, that as this moves forward, we kind of can streamline what parts we're selling the most of.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so this is just showing DC, AC for 1 kilovolt applications, and then AC for 500 volts. All right, so kind of going back to the surge discussion. Again, we had the little popular PLT series, low cost inline surge suppressant for your main power coming in. This is the minimum requirement to get the lifetime warranty. But that's that guy. We do also offer a lot of surge for other applications though. So down here at the bottom, this is an Ethernet surge protector. So if you have long Cat5, Cat6 runs where some noise can get induced on your lines, this is in on 2 female ports. Can't see the other side, but just 2 female ports. Just goes in line, Cat5 in, Cat5 out. This will soak up any noise on that line. Right above it, we're not going to talk about radios, but we do offer some wireless products, and we offer antennas like a Yagi antenna. This is a coax surge protection device, right? So essentially antennas are lightning rods. You want to protect them some way to protect everything downstream of it. This is one way to do that. And then also for signals out in the field. So say you have a temperature sensor, you've got a cord set, some cables running back into the cabinet. This is a way to protect those analog or digital field devices as they come back into the cabinet. You don't want that signal to come in and cripple the cabinet from the back end, right? You want to protect the mains, also protect on the back end side. Again, we have a full catalog of these types of products. All right, so still sticking with circuit protection here, or moving over to circuit protection. With circuit breakers, we have a couple different flavors. These top ones here are what we call UL 489 breakers. They're easily identifiable as they have these little finger guards on them. And then below them is our TMC 7 series, which are UL 1077. If you're not sure of the UL rating that's needed, UL 49 trumps 1077. They're only a couple dollars more. So I would go with the UL 49s. Different types of trip curves on here, different amperage values. Again, these are high runners. I think we go from 1 to 63 amps. So lots of different part numbers, 3 different trip curves. Down here, gaining in popularity are electronic circuit breakers. So whereas up above, these are thermomagnetic. These are good for AC or DC applications. These ones on the bottom here are DC only. And we have a couple different flavors, and we're actually making these in Pennsylvania now. So made in the US. One of the good things through COVID, as due to supply chain issues, we started taking a look at, hey, does it make sense to have the production in this country, this country, this country? Well, the United States is the highest user of our electronic circuit breakers. So we are actually making these lines in Pennsylvania now, which is absolutely awesome. And some other ones, terminal blocks, cord sets, industrial computers, a lot of that stuff's being made in Pennsylvania now, which is really good. So, so what's going on here is this bottom circuit breaker is very thin. It's about 6.2 millimeters wide. It is a single channel circuit breaker, and you can buy it in fixed values, meaning 2 amps, 4 amps, 5 amps, etc. Or you can buy them in versions that are adjustable. So they have a push button on the front and also an LED, and you can set these things, 1 amp, 2 amp, all the way up to 8 amps. So you can standardize on one part number if this is something you guys would want to stock or the customer would want to stock. So one SKU fits 8 different applications, right? So pretty slick. There's also a version of this with remote reset. So if you don't want to get into the cabinet, you can reset this from your HMI. You can do that, and it also has a set of monitoring contacts on here as well. So if you do open up the cabinet, though, you'll see the LED on there. It's simple stoplight pattern. Red means it's tripped. Yellow means it's essentially somewhere between 80 and say 99% of its trip point. And then green is everything is good, right? Next one up here is its bigger brother. This is 4 of these in one. So it's a 4-channel breaker. And instead of 1 to 8 amps, this is adjustable from 1 to 10. And then the top one is its bigger brother, which is 8 channels in one body, also adjustable from 1 to 10 amps per channel. All good so far? Thumbs up? Yep. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. All right, terminal block. So I mentioned Phoenix Contact, 100-year anniversary this year. We invented the DIN rail terminal block. We have more variations than anybody else. I'll kind of go over the most of the technologies and a new one I have as well that's not highlighted. But the two high runners are going to be your push and screw. So down at the bottom, this is ring lug. Typically, we find that in different types of transportation industries or power industries, where at the end of the wire, you literally have a ring that sits on there. It slides over a bolt, and then you tighten it down. Another one here is, hold on, anything going on in the chat? Just want to make sure. Okay. Next one here is insulation displacement. This is where you take a wire coming off the reel, you blunt cut it, stick it in the terminal block, and then this orange part is a movable piece. Typically, orange in our world is movable. You rock it forward, and it will pierce the outside sheathing of the wire jacket and make a gas-tight connection. Not very popular. This was back in the day with, say, phone lines, kind of that vampire bite you might hear people call it. Next one up is a old spring technology where this is the tip of a screwdriver here that gets inserted into the block, and then you rock it forward and manually open up the spring cage, allowing a space for the wire to be inserted. And then when you release the screwdriver, that spring will push up against the wire and keep tension on it. So spring technology is really good for two applications, vibration environments and also for temperature environments, where you're going to have temperature extremes. So think of something sitting outside, or I believe these were originally designed for the transit industry. So think of next to some railroad tracks where you're going to have some type of switching box or heating box. These things are going to be out in the environment, cold, hot, and also vibration. So next is going to be screw. Everybody has got a screwdriver, hopefully, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey. We have a really good. It was patented at one time. I think we let it lapse, but there's basically a cage in there that when you tighten this, it will kind of deflect and then put reverse tension on there to try to inhibit the screw from backing out. But typically, the screw inherently over time is going to back out, right? Vibration, temperature extreme, eventually it's going to want to loosen up. And then we go to our push-in. So push-in until last year was our newest technology. And what this is this is a revamp of the spring technology. So what's going on here is, again, orange is movable. This is an orange pusher on top here. And if you're using wires that have ferrules on them, you can just take that ferruled wire and insert it into the terminal block. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to stick the screwdriver in and open it. Or if you have solid core wire, you can do the same thing. Simply insert it into the terminal block and you're done. It's terminated. If you're using stranded wire, you can still insert it, but then you do need to push on that pusher, that orange button, to open up the spring cage, insert the wire, and then let it go, and the spring will take over. And so at the end, I'll talk about tools a little bit, but if you have some customers that are not using ferrules and they would like to, we sell ferrules, we sell hand tools, we sell automated tooling. We can help them in that process. And so this is a high runner. This push-in, one of these blocks is being made in Pennsylvania right now, also is one of the highest runner screw terminal blocks being made in Pennsylvania right now as well. But most of our technologies for our other products that we're going to discuss will have one or both of these options, a screw option and or a push-in option. Typically, once a customer goes all push-in terminal blocks, they're going to want everything else in the panel being push-in as well. They just love that technology, like the speed of use and also the robustness for the temperature and the environmental aspects. So the one that's not shown here, I won't do the demonstration because I will stab myself, but you guys will be hearing about this soon. It's called Push X. And what this is, it does have the orange buttons on the front, just like the PT did, the push-in series. But this is essentially made for customers who want a spring technology. They want to get the labor savings out of it, but they don't want to put ferrules on their wire. So these are essentially a mouse trap type design where the spring cage will ship open, the button will be detented or pushed down. You'll take your stranded wire, insert it into the block, and it will snap shut onto your wire. So again, you can quickly terminate wires into terminal blocks. And this technology will be trickling down into other products in the future. But this is very new. There's very limited part numbers available. But I did want to just let you know that these exist. We do have some in stock. So if you guys would like any samples to start playing around with these or showing people, they do exist. And that's called the Push X. So, okay. Any questions on that? Nope. Good. All right. So on a connectivity front, we have different types of connectors for getting in and out of the cabinet. We call it getting through the cabinet. So we have all different types of rectangular based and circular based products. Some are fixed, meaning they may be 8 poles or 16 poles. Other ones are essentially little Legos where you have a rectangular block and you can pick and choose what modules go in them. So one could be thermocouples, another could be vacuum lines or pneumatic lines, positive or negative pressure. Some could be high power, up to 200 amps per pin. Other ones could just be super dense. Think of, 20, 22 gauge signal wires coming back into a cabinet. And you can mix and match as well. The other one down here, Ethernet cord sets. We have overmolded. So typically these are not going to be your in-cabinet cord sets. These are going to be more of an industrial one where they're IP rated. They have overmolding on them to limit, the potential of moisture or dirt, debris, etc., entering into the jackets here. We also have high flex versions for different applications. Going into the standard cord sets, we make these in Pennsylvania. M8s, M12s, thinks of those variants. The yellow PVC jacketed is pretty much the most popular in the United States. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of part numbers. If Brody doesn't have stock, typically we have about a 7-day lead time to make these things. So very short lead time, very extensive product offering, really great pricing on those. All right, I had mentioned relays earlier. So we have a lot of different families of relays. Paul and I have kind of found that there's two of those families are the main popular ones. This series here is called the PLC series. Essentially, back in the day when these were invented 25 years ago, you could put a head module on these, and you still can, but you could do logic with them. So instead of going to a full-blown controller, you can have 8 relays lined up or more, put this head module on it, and tie into some software, some free software on our website, and do some control with these things. Not a lot of customers do that, to be honest with you, because a lot of controller costs have come down. But these relays still fit a fantastic purpose. Essentially, 6 to 8 amps and under is where these things typically have a home because they're 6.2 millimeters wide. The larger ones are 14 millimeters wide. So very thin. Think of the width of a terminal block is what this relay is. We offer them in electromechanical, and we offer them in solid state. So going back to the lifetime warranty real quick, the electromechanical would not be covered for life. The solid state would. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but also inside the cabinet after the UPSs, you typically have that battery. A battery would not have a lifetime warranty. And another item that's not in this presentation is we make industrial computers and HMIs. Those would not have a lifetime warranty, but the warranty on those would extend from a 2-year standard warranty out to a 5-year warranty. Just so you know that. So this is the one family, the PLC. The next family is going to be the RIF line, so RIF. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, RIF 0. It just depends on how much current, essentially, you want to flow through those contacts, and also how many contacts, right? Single, double, 4-pole, etc. So these slides unfortunately don't show a lot of the different AC versions you guys are going to be interested in, your customers are going to be interested in, but Paul does have kind of a high runner list that we've come to create, highlighting a lot of those the AC versions. Also down here at the bottom, we do have a line of motor starters, and we also have a little VFD. Essentially, on these motor starters, hybrid motor starters. They're meant to have a long life. They have both electromechanical and solid state switching in them to help give some a lot of cycles out of these things. And then the VFD, this is something that's relatively new. It's been out maybe a year now. As of today, this is 2 horsepower and under, very thin, zero stack design. You can have drive after drive after drive stacked up next to each other on DIN rail. Very simple to program, no software, everything's done on the face of the unit, very low cost. Next, we go into what we call signal conditioners. And so in our world, what a signal conditioner is you have some type of analog or digital signal coming in, and say you have a redundant circuit, something that's very critical. So you have one 4 to 20 in, you can now have 2 4 to 20s out, right? Or you have analog 0 to 10 in, but you need a 4 to 20 signal for your controller. You can convert from one to the other, or you could do digital. I've got an analog in, I need a digital pulse output. That's what these signal conditioners can do. So again, these are some high runners here. We've got lots of different versions of these. These are some of the more popular ones there. Right. Ethernet switches. We have some new series that have come out. This is one of them. This is our 8-port here. So we have 5-port, 8-port, 16-port, and we have a 24-port that's getting ready to launch here. I just saw the part number. I think it's coming out this month or next month. The idea behind these is low cost, very thin. So this is actually, I think, the thinnest 8-port on the market still. And it actually has a good feature set where these guys here can be mounted on DIN rail. It can be mounted flat in a panel, and if so, it does have LEDs on the side, little light pipes on there, so you can see the activity, make sure this thing's on. It comes in 10/100 versions and also gigabit versions. The gigabit versions will prioritize Profinet packets, or excuse me, BACnet packets. So Profinet, Ethernet IP, Modbus, but I think in your world, BACnet packets, which is pretty cool. So that's the gigabit version of these. We also offer managed switches. So if you're getting into a lot of data, you want to have some more control of who's talking to who and where it's going. We do offer a line of managed switches as well. And we can do in cabinet, what I'll call IP20 versions. We can also do out of the cabinet, this bottom picture here, where you have M12 and M8 sensors connectors on here, where you can have everything mounted out in the field that's IP rated for dirt, debris, etc. And then probably won't have too many applications, but we make some IT, 19-inch rack mount versions as well. So now we're getting into the marking side of things. So got my little demo here. An example of terminal blocks. You can see there's these white markings here on the terminal blocks. We have a specific machine that we call the card printer, where you can make these little chiclets that snap in place. So you can do some nice identification inside the cabinet. We also have a different printer that prints on flexible materials such as heat shrink or wire wraps that would then go on the wires coming in and out of the cabinet and going to the terminal blocks. So that way for troubleshooting, or if you have larger panels just for the installs, you can follow the print to what's in front of you. We've all typically have different types of promos going on. We have everything from a little handheld unit to desktop units. They all have free software for them. So even the handheld unit will have, you can plug it into a computer and print out a file from it. We also have some printers that can do stainless steel tags and aluminum. So it's a laser printer. And let's see what else here. There's also this desktop portable unit. This has a lithium ion battery in it, and also a tablet on the front. So think of kind of like an iPad interface. It can get plugged into the computer, but this is really meant for field use, sitting in the truck, so that you could print on the hard terminal block markers for field installations. And then again, these are some of the high runners of some of the material that goes in these printers. Typically, there's promos going on with these. Right now, I know the flexible printer, we call it the roll printer 2.0. It's actually free when you buy so much marking material, which is an absolute bargain. The card printer is discounted when you buy so much. And then we have bundles. So you can kind of mix and match. On the tooling side, we have a full portfolio of different types of hand tools, torque screwdrivers, all different types of stripping tools as well. Like I mentioned earlier, the ferrules, the tools, hand tools to apply the ferrules, and also automated tooling. So we're seeing right now, I know down here in North Carolina, a lot of customers have a lot of volume projects going on, which is absolutely awesome. The problem is they can't get the manpower. So they're now investing in automated tooling. Some examples of those would be, we have a machine that can pull wire off of a reel to different lengths. So you can program it, send it a spreadsheet, and it'll just keep pulling wire off, cutting it to length. So think of like trying to kit like a wire harness. Then you can take that wire, and we have some machines actually. So this is the wire machine actually right there, the Cut Fox. And then this is a ferruling machine. You could then take that wire, the blunt cut wire, stick it in the face of this ferruling machine. It will strip it and then apply a ferrule to it, all in about a 2-second action. Those are two of the most popular. And then this ferrule machine has a bigger brother as well for super high applications where it has a vibrating hopper on top. You just dump in a bunch of ferrules and you can just keep going a lot faster for a lot longer. All right. And then also down here is shown just some commodity type products. We do offer DIN rail. We offer wire duct that's not shown, some end stops, but I can help with any of those types of products. All right, so that's the end of the catalog. Any questions on kind of what we went over for the Cabinet Confidence catalog? Nothing? Okay. All right. So this is from working with Paul. Paul and I kind of came up with a list that may be helpful for you guys about some of the core products that we kind of see customers keep migrating towards, right? Because we do have a very large portfolio. A lot of them like the lifetime warranty. Paul and I have countless customers who have signed up for the lifetime warranty just to have that peace of mind. They see the value in having that surge suppressor on there. So it's a functional device, right? And then it also, for free, gives you a lifetime warranty. So we have a lot of customers doing that. Uno, Paul was talking about the power supplies and UPSs. We do have those 3 series, but I'll show you some of the pictures of a couple that the customers are kind of leaning towards. It seem to be the higher runners for you guys. Again, the terminal blocks, the screw, and the PT push-in, by far the most popular out of the 5 or 6 technologies that we have. Some PT fixed distribution blocks. I'll show you some pictures of those. These are just inexpensive color-coded distribution blocks. The circuit breakers, the TMC 7 and 8s. Some customers use them as a simple switch inside there, but they also offer circuit protection. And then on the PLC, or excuse me, on the relays, the PLC series and the RIF line are the 2 most popular. So going down into a little bit more intelligent devices, we have the ILC 2050, the building automation controller. We have a FL1, the different Ethernet switches I highlighted. The FL1000 series is the unmanaged. And then we do offer some HMIs, BWP, which is our lowest cost series, and the next one would be the WP series. This one just offers more horsepower, a nice metal bezel, but this is a relatively new one that's still at a really good price point. Some of our compact computers I'll show you an example of. We have a lot of customers using these as what you call supervisors out there. And then we've got a couple of customers also using what we call our WLAN. This is an Ethernet bridge. And what this is you get 2, in one box, you essentially get a kit. You get 2 matched radios that if you point them towards each other, with line of sight, they're good for 2 miles, if not more. Going through buildings, obviously, depending what you're shooting through, the distance will go down. But everything comes together in this kit. You get the 2 panels that are pre-paired. You get some wall warts. So you plug one in over here, plug the other one over here. And you just need to provide your Ethernet cable that goes into each side. Pointing towards each other, they'll find each other in about 30 seconds. You'll have a wireless connection. So essentially, it's instead of running a super long Ethernet cable, you put your ends of the Ethernet into each of these radios, point them towards each other, and you just extended your network. Hand tools, again, we mentioned we have a lot of customers that love us bringing by and demoing the hand tools, the automated tooling, printing and marking. A lot of customers have taken advantage of those promos. And then the wire duct and DIN rail, just commodity type products that we have really good pricing for you guys on. All right.
I have a question
Sure.
about the Ethernet bridge. I know they
Yes.
were looking, it's 1-to-1, but are they working on a point to multi-point unit? Do you know?
I do not know. So I'm kind of everything. I've got a guy for that. I've got a wireless guy. I've heard discussions of that. I don't know where we're at with that though.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, so here's some customer examples. Won't tell you who any of the customers are, but just to kind of give you an idea, this is our in this building automation controller. Paul would kind of have to help me out here to speak more about this thing. He's definitely more familiar with it than I. But this is to represent the size of this versus say this Allerton, right? A customer, when we first gave him this module, he was like, "Holy cow, this thing is tiny." And so he sent a picture. He's like, "Look how much space I'm going to save in my cabinet." And we're like, "Yep, it's absolutely awesome." So that's just an example of extreme space savings, right? Our controller versus the competition. Here's one of our customers that was nice enough to let us take some pictures of some of his demo boards. So again, we're pretty big on demos and more samples. This is when he was originally testing the controller. He also has lifetime warranty, right? He's got the surge protection up here. He's got 2 power supplies. I think he's doing different voltages, which is why there's 2 power supplies. So an example, this could be a 5 or a 12 volt DC power supply on the output. This would be your 24 volt. And then this is the UPS, one of the ones I believe Paul was kind of mentioning. This seems to be a high runner. This is a UPS and battery in one. It's got some of the DIN rail, the wire duct, and then these are PT Fix distribution blocks. So typical application, actually this page over here on the right side here, this is a typical application coming out of the power supply. You would go into say your plus and your minus on your 24 volt circuit and go into these little PT Fix blocks. Because as you can see here, they're pretty thin, but you have 19 points of contact there. So very inexpensively and in a space saving fashion, you get some really nice distribution blocks on there. And you can color code these. I think there's 13 different colors. Also over here is a different power supply in UPS. This is a power supply in UPS in one with a separate battery. This here is one of our industrial computers, a little supervisor running on the DIN rail. There's extremely compact device. Again, the PT Fix, wire duct, DIN rail, building automation controller. Paul, was there, not to put you on the spot, is there anything you wanted to add with the controller? Because I didn't have any separate slides to specifically kind of go over the advantages or disadvantages. Because I have a guy for that. It's just not me.
Yeah, I think that's a whole separate discussion to get into that.
Fair enough.
It's basically their hardened Jace. It's their, you can add 63 slices of IO to it. It keeps it very compact, but it's basically a Niagara device. That's
Gotcha.
UL 508.
Thank you. All right, here's some other panels from some of our customers that were nice enough to let us take some pictures. Again, the power supply and UPS combo, separate battery unit, a bunch of different PT Fix in here, some standard push-in terminal blocks, building automation controller itself with all the different IO slices, kind of color coded to what type of digital, analog, temperature, etc. Here's a little 5-port Ethernet switch, unmanaged switch over here. And then lots of our terminal blocks here on the bottom. And then you can see all these numbers on them, right? So you know which wire is going to which block. So for troubleshooting and for initial wiring, helps out. Another example over here, again, that same power supply UPS combo, battery. This guy here has Ethernet switch in it here. Here's some the relays. Here's a little industrial computer tucked over in the side, and of course the wire duct and DIN rail. Again, similar application here. That same UPS battery combo there. Some more PT Fix. A lot of different Phoenix contact components. Here's another customer still using Honeywell, but again, we play nice with everybody. Still using our industrial computer, switch, power supply. Here's screw terminal blocks. This customer prefers screw terminal blocks, absolutely fine. the surge suppressor here to get the lifetime warranty, some of our DIN rail end stops. Not our circuit breaker, but again, circuit breaker in the panel. Another one there. And this is one of our outlets as well. So if you have a service outlet inside the panel, if you want, where you're going to have technicians in there programming, troubleshooting, they can plug in their laptop here, right, to get power. We've got versions like this. We also have GFCI versions as well, 15 and 20 amp flavors, dual outlets, etc. And over here is a customer where we have, a lot of the Riftline relays. They're going to a bunch of different terminal blocks. These are the standard PTs, but they're doing color coding. They like blue. Some PT fix at the bottom for distribution, surge for lifetime warranty, UPS, power supply, and then UPS battery backup combo, building automation controller, and then of course, nice and tidy wire duct, DIN rail there. Here's a customer with a kind of before and after shot as well. So the right side of the cabinet is what they cleaned up. Now have a surge protector, power supply, UPS, backup, controller, relays, terminal box, wire duct, and DIN rail, making everything look nice and pretty. And of course, getting the lifetime warranty on those components. All right. So just kind of some reasons to use Phoenix Contact. Again, we make innovative, designed for a purpose products. We're typically not the one that's trying to knock off and take some pennies out of an existing product and still meet UL or CE at the minimum requirements, right? That's just not our model. But with that, we can get very aggressive on pricing, and some of our pricing right out of the gate is very aggressive. But typically, we're trying to save. It all boils down to cost, right? So we're trying to save space in the cabinet. That way, the customer can use a smaller, lesser expensive cabinet. We're trying to speed up production, right? Time is money. So with that push-in technology where you can take and simply insert wires, it is so much faster. And I think we've got time studies. We could give customers samples if they want, so they can do their own trials to see how much labor savings they can have by going into the push-in, or the new one I just showed you, the push-X. Competitive pricing, if there's a certain price point we need to be, certainly at volumes, we will do our best. The lifetime warranty, again, something that your customer, just peace of mind, something does happen down the road, they can get the replacements for free as long as they're using the surge in the power supply. And again, that is for Phoenix Contact components only, right? So if you've got, our surge, our power supply relays, but then you're going to an Allerton controller or Honeywell controller, we're not going to warranty that Honeywell or, Distech or whoever's controller out there, just Phoenix Contact components. So, generous sample policy. Again, we like to get the products into people's hands, especially the ones that aren't familiar with Phoenix, so that they can kind of better understand what these products are all about and how it can help them out. And again, lots of different product specialists in the area. So I was at a lunch and learn earlier this week. I had 3 people with me, 3 of the product specialists with me. Just a lot of feet on the street, right? All right, so here is a lot of different links. I can send this out maybe to Paul, and then if you want to distribute it to the people. But essentially what this is a lifetime warranty link, how you can go on and register, and it also gives you a little bit of information about how it works. 2 of the high runner surge protection devices, 120 and 230. Some of the power supplies, UPS information, terminal box. Fuse blocks, we didn't talk about those too much, but those are still a high runner too. 5x20 fuses, very popular in the industry. Again, a lot of customers are starting to migrate over to the electronic circuit breaker side of things. But for right now, fuse box definitely is the most popular. Distribution blocks, circuit breakers, relays, computer switches, HMIs, all this stuff down here. So I will send that up. All right, so does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
This is Will from Brody.
Hey, Will.
I do a lot of our panel design and
Yeah.
run our panel shop. Would it be possible to get some samples of those, what are they, PT Fix distribution blocks? They look like they'd be a good fit
Yep.
for some of our stock panels that we build. We typically use the 6mm gray terminal block. for
Okay.
Phoenix. We have a
Yeah.
ThermoMark printer and everything that we use. But I didn't realize that was an option, and that gives us a lot more wiring points for
Okay.
customers. So
Yeah, those are, as you saw, a lot of those customer photos, right? I think almost every one of them was using those things. They're
yeah,
extremely popular. I've got a demo board down here. I'd have to take it out to show you, but yeah. So what I have is a little, it's basically a little engineer's kit. It has a bunch of different variations in those.
perfect.
I'll get you one of those.
That'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Anybody else? Yeah. Going back to the links real quick, if you guys, even if you just want to let it play in the background, this funny videos link, highly recommend you watch it. Again, it'll just make you laugh. The Copper Carl video, absolutely hilarious. But for those of you that weren't on when I kind of had these playing earlier, we couldn't get the sound to come through. But there was a contest we had, I believe it was 1 or 2 years ago, where customers sent in videos showing how the push-in technology, how good it is against vibration environments, and some people came up with some clever ideas. And actually, one of my local customers got I think third place for his video, but definitely worth watching. So, all right. Well, hopefully that's kind of what you guys wanted. Didn't get too deep into the products, but essentially this catalog is what I wanted to cover, and that is the high runners.
And for
For
the
these.
birdie guys, I would highly recommend you reach out to your local rep and spend some time with them, because that's, Chris and I and Scott down here, and we work together quite often. And it's really paid off for us.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And all those guys and girls should have these samples that I carry around in their cars or trucks to show customers. Again, we're very hands-on, so we'd love to get those products into your hands and then in the customer's hands as well. It's got some really cool stuff. All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Everybody have a great weekend. Paul, I'll send you those links. And if anybody's got questions, let me know. I will do my best to try to keep up and get everything answered for you guys.
Great.
All right. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you too.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.